Welcome to another Motortown post-event race commentary. Today we got the Workers' League Stella Cup 2 Arabolica Boogaloo. I'm sorry, it's my event name. I drafted the whole thing and named the entire event after a track that I got requested to make, so here we are. We'll see the track as the second one in this event, so I'll talk more about that at that point. But yeah, Stella Cup makes a return and we are going to just jump right into it. There's a bit of preamble going on, just looking around, checking out the other drivers. This, by the way, is the early set. I'll actually be hosting the second one later on the day that I'm recording right now. So gotta get ready for that, don't lose track of time here. But yeah, we're about to get started here. And I'm actually almost missing the start, so you gotta be careful. So the checkpoint and better just yeah, face forward at this point. So the Stella front wheel drive in this cup driven by the 240 horsepower V8, pretty strong engine but still controllable. It gets much more wild with the strongest V8. So I decided against it, wanted it to be a bit more about, yeah, corner, proper cornering and that kind of thing, which I'm completely failing at, as you just saw, and that already cost me my first place position. So we are now trying to keep up with Chess on the uphill. That point, back there, the corner where we go from the 4-lane road to the 2-lane road right here, it's so damn important to take as much speed on the uphill as you can. But yeah, I also want to quickly plug the TWL events, because these have been a lot of fun, especially now that we can turn off the traffic. But people have been dropping off a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. So if you're interested in joining these events, all you need to do is get on to the Workers' League Discord. You can either find that on the community section on the main Motortown Discord, or just go into the server list in-game and join the Workers' League server. They will get all the infos. These are usually pretty casual, but there are quite a few fast people on here. Also a few slower ones. We have quite a widespread. Speaking of widespread, where we got Chess almost spinning out. And me doing basically the same almost in the corner after. But yeah, we are back on our way to the start finish. Just a few more corners to go and then we'll come back around to that part. The other people on the race, we got Vormir quite close to us and we're actually just all three fighting for a position here. Completely spinning out after that bump, running into Chessboard, just going off track, and that's how Vormir got into first position here. The other two are a bit further behind, and the person in sixth, Takiturno, is actually not going to be part of the event. They joined at the beginning, but then had dinner coming up, so yeah, sadly wasn't able to make it. But yeah, I'm back on track, third position, and I gotta say, this car is just... It feels like more of a handful than a few updates ago. I'm really struggling to drive it smoothly, so maybe I should really look into that, trying to update my tune a little bit, because right now it's a bit more of a handful than I would like it to be. But yeah, everybody else is struggling as well. There's also a bit of a problem with the car being very front heavy, especially with a decently powerful V8 in the front. It's just that the cars also all have heavy front braking bias. So the rear, due to being both light and not having strong brake power on it, is not really doing too much, and you're going to see that especially in the next race where we have a lot of hard braking zones. And people are just struggling to get the car to not stop, but to slow it down to an appropriate speed for the upcoming corner. And it's especially difficult to do so while also then still being set up for the turn. You're gonna see what I mean in the next race. But yeah, right now I'm way behind Vormir and Chess. I'm trying to catch back up, but yeah, if you go too hard, it's not gonna be that great. Driving smoothly should really be the priority here, but in the heat of a moment, that's not always easy enough to do. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but I'm going to be hosting the second set of these races in a few hours from the time of recording. And the way I want to handle the stuff going forward for the next bit, I know it's going to be very race heavy with my videos because, well, I was sick during the past few weeks, but I still participated in the events that I drafted, so there are going to be a few racing videos coming up. And I'll be uploading this one first, then the one from 2 weeks ago, then the one from 1 week ago, and then the second set of these ones, so that at least there's not going to be two videos of me just doing Stella Cup back to back. But yeah, the second one will definitely also be a video. We're gonna see if it's a bit different due to me hosting. I'll definitely have to keep an eye on a few things here that I don't need to care about right now with these races, because Chess is doing all the work during the event day. But yeah, right now Chess and Vormir pretty much neck to neck in first and second position. I'm just trying to keep up and I'm really failing. I'm driving the car way too hard for its own good and it's just not working. Again, these races, the first set always happens at a very, very late or early time. It's kind of 4 a.m., so depends on your perspective on if it's late or early. But yeah, I'm not really in the... I'm not fully there anymore. I wanted to participate because thanks to my recent insomnia, I'm just awake at that time for some stupid reason. But yeah, I'm not really going to perform the best. I'm seeing this more as a warm-up for the actual one that I'll be hosting, and then hopefully that will go a bit better. That's happening at 7 p.m. for me. Definitely a much better time slot. But yeah, basically what's happening is that Chess isn't always available, and I think one of the last events we also had the problem where, yeah, he just couldn't make it for both slots, and in order to still keep the more European-centric slot, I decided to step up and we made a little arrangement. There's also the problem of getting the server running and closing it back down, so we got an arrangement so that Share still does that part, because I don't have access to that, but on the server I'll be the one calling the shots and getting everything up and running. So we're gonna have to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more soft on the car in these corners, but yeah, it just doesn't really work. I feel like at this point, this is where I can really step on the gas and set up for the next set of corners, but yeah, overall it's not really going how I would like it to. I don't know what changed in terms of physics between the last time I did this event and this time, but I feel like the car has definitely gotten a bit more of a handful, and yeah, I might have to retune the whole thing to maybe help it out. Or maybe next time we'll just drop down to a lower engine type. Maybe even go with an inline 4. It should still be fun, it would be a bit slower, but we will have to see about it. But yeah, first I'll try to fix it on my end before just completely gutting the regulations and giving this a different event setup. But ultimately I would like this to be more about getting proper lines through the corners and that kind of thing when fighting with the car. And to be fair, I also just started with likely the hardest track in the entire round here. Oop, and just as a little end here, we just drive off a cliff, which with this track in particular, it's also something that you always have to keep in mind that can happen. But yeah, I'll definitely be keeping mental note of this, that Stella isn't the easygoing little car that it used to be. It's a bit more of a handful now. So might have to reclassify a few things and consider hosting maybe different types of tracks with this car in particular. Anyways, we made it back to the start finish. Third position, which is not too bad overall. And yeah, Chess won despite last corner colors on lap 1. We had a bit of a chit chat about cuddling before the race, so it was appropriate in that context. And yeah, now we are at the Arabolica Grand Prix. The main feature of this track is what we are getting into right now. It's the coastal road going around the steel mill. And yeah, I've been asked to include a track like this in one of the events. Initially, it was planned for the 4x2 cap over semi-truck event. But yeah, that didn't really fit. It was a much better thing to combine with this car in particular, and therefore I went for that one. Had a few little incidents on the first corners, but now we are getting to the really fast section. So I'm actually really happy how I took the last sharp turn over there. The right-hander going into this section, really important to get a bit of speed out of, because you'll be carrying that for quite a while. Also, these corners, not always as easy as you might think. They are definitely not too tricky, but they can catch you off guard if you don't approach them correctly. Also, a lot of the turns on this track are longer than you think. Gotta be careful. We'll be doing 2 laps on this. There's also going to be a more technical section through Ara town, going also past the repair station. Sadly, we didn't get any supplies for that area, so there won't be any repairs available. Gotta be careful, especially in the upcoming forest section, because those turns are really deceiving. Bit more tricky than you think, and if you try to be a bit too fast, you're gonna end up in a tree, which will completely wreck the car. But yeah, we're now coming up to the northern end of the track, going back towards Ara, past the steel mill on the other side. So this is what I mean when I talk about the braking issues. We also had Vormir way overshooting the turn there. As I said, I'm not the only one having issues with this, and I'm having a really hard time at just getting used to this. So yeah, we're gonna see. I hope I can get a few more braking points a bit better than this, but it's not that easy. The car barely feels like it's slowing down, and it's just gonna be really tough on on the braking with these harsh braking zones. Fast straights followed by really sharp turns is gonna be a bit of a tricky one here. But yeah, going through the forest the first time. Again, I'm trying to be a bit more careful than maybe what I need to be, but I think it's for the better. And yeah, this is where we could potentially go into the steel mill, another sharp turn, and I mean, yeah, you can see just how much I'm struggling with this. I think Vormir behind me also went slightly off track. Chess is just gone. Don't think I'm gonna catch him again unless he maybe runs into a tree on the second lap. But yeah, we are about to come back into Ara. And theoretically, I could have made this a much shorter lap, which was tempting. At the next intersection, I could just go straight and that would be the end of the lap. But not only did I want to include the repair stations for maybe a few other events, but also I feel like after all this high speed stuff, again, we're also way overshooting. I don't think that was meant to be a takeout. But I'm glad that I didn't go a meter further ahead because that would have been very painful, likely for both of us. But yeah, after all this high speed stuff, we are going to go into a more slow and technical section here. So quite a few sharp turns ahead, and this is actually part of another track, which you're going to see in another event coming up soon. Funnily enough, by the time that I'm recording this, I know that that event already happened. But yeah, since that's gonna be a later video, you're likely not gonna have seen the reference by now. But yeah, that's gonna come up sooner than later. And yeah, this would be where you can go into the repair station. And this is one of my favorite turns in here. It's just... This is a good one if you get it right. Sadly with this car, I don't really have it in me to get it right, but... Maybe we'll do this again with something that's a bit less what Stella is giving me right now. But yeah, we are approaching the end of the lap now. Just gonna do a few more turns and then we'll be back at the start finish again. Now going on to a rather long straight. I got Vormir right behind me. Again, Chess being way ahead. So it's another bit of zigzagging over here. And then we're back on the start finish for the second lap. But yeah, basically these races, for me at least, boil down to being just mainly Chess and Vormir as opponents. Steam and Jess are having their own race a bit further behind. But yeah, we are just trying to fight for at least second in this one. But I think at least Steam was joining very spontaneously, so didn't have much prep time at all. Might have been the same for Jess, I don't know. But yeah, back onto that long fast section. And Chess must be more than 500 meters away from me now because I don't even see the name tag anymore. Yeah, getting a little bit spicy here. Also staying potentially on the wrong side of the road in order to set up for the next turn. But with these ones, I'm not always too aware what's coming up. I don't have the entire thing memorized quite yet. I think what's going to come up soon is not going to be too fun for me. Yeah, I'm running into a bit of an issue with that bump in the road there. So that pothole really set me up badly for the next turn. But I managed to at least reset before getting into any larger trouble. I'm looking back in order to see if Vormir is about to come up. I don't want to be in his way if I'm slowing down this much due to my reset. So this would actually be a good reason to get out of the way if Vormir was to get through the turn. I don't want to cause a crash here. Anyways, I'm still far enough ahead that I don't need to bother too much about that. Here we go for that harsh braking zone again. And besides the potential money shift in there, that wasn't even all that bad. Even got me a decent line through the turn, so that's all good. But yeah, coming back through the forest section, I was really hoping for Chess to maybe go hug a tree in the forest here because that would have been nice, but instead, yeah, I manifested that for myself. At least I didn't get any severe engine or radiator damage, so it could have been much worse. But yeah, I lost position and Vormir is now in second place, so hope I can at least catch back up. But yeah, Jess in chat already apparently had been suffering another crash, and yeah, that's the harsh thing about this race. If you crash out, if you damage your vehicle too much, you're gonna have a really bad time and just be limping back around the track. But yeah, we are still somewhat close to Vormir. 200 meters is, I mean, it's quite a bit of a distance, but nothing that I couldn't potentially catch back up to if given enough time and maybe a few issues on my opponent's side. But we're gonna have to see how this one pans out. And yeah, now we are coming back around into Ara town. I'm trying to be a bit better on the brakes, but it doesn't always work. Just trust me that if you get this corner right, this is actually a nice little corner combination. But yeah, I would need to be much smoother with my lines, and it just doesn't really work for me this time around. And yeah, coming back up to the supermarket, we can even see Shaz on a completely different part of the track, so yeah, that's nothing to get back to. Yeah, Vormir going quite a bit further ahead now. I didn't have the smoothest time through the corner, so that was definitely also on me for losing ground there. They're coming through here, trying to set up for the turn nicely, but I mean, this isn't too bad. This is actually pretty nice. One of a few nice turns that I had this race, so gotta point that one out. But yeah, this one is tricky with all the corner combinations, trying to set up for this really sharp turn, taking a lot of speed through, and then coming back to the longer straight sections there. We can also see steam ahead on the other section going up to the supermarket. And yeah, for some reason Vormir slowed back down again, so potentially there could still be something to be done if he misses a braking zone or something. But as it is right now, it might not happen. We are basically on to the last two turns, so I think that's gonna be GG despite me getting really close now. Like, I'm definitely trying to push now, see if I can make it work. But yeah, it just doesn't. GG to Vormir, but this was a comparatively close race, so if we had another lap, who knows what would have happened. I would have likely ran headfirst into a tree again. That would have been the end of the race, but maybe that could have been second place again, but yeah. The brake balance really got me in here. It just didn't work out too well. Also, I would like to point out in this race we have another contestant. KitKat has joined, and since they didn't have their own car, Chessbot was nice enough to lend them one of their cars, so yeah, this is why you likely want to bring your own ones. Just saying. But yeah, this track in particular, this is one that I drafted up before we even got the event feature. So back before we had any checkpoints that we could place ourselves, I came up with pretty much this entire layout here, but I just didn't really ever use it in any event. So when I finally figured out how to make the event track checkpoint placement work out pretty quickly, I came back to this one, and it's a nice one. Partially going through Jeju City, but sticking to the wider roads. So this is gonna be a bit tricky, and there's also gonna be a major incident in a moment, so look forward to that. We go trying to get back on the inside. But yeah, this is a major desync moment. So I don't think I was there on Shaz's video, but yeah, I was certainly here on mine, and that caused me to run headfirst into a wall, bounce off, and run into somebody else, who then also had to suffer with engine damage, most likely. So this is really not what you want. We are still in the first third or so of the race, and I'm already starting to limp, having to take care of my engine not overheating, and this is basically impossible to avoid, it seems. Like, I've been trying to be really gentle on the whole thing, but it just didn't work out. So yeah, I heard something happening behind me, don't know what exactly was going on, but I'm glad that I at least managed to stay out of it. But yeah, we are about to overheat, most likely. Yep, there it is. So until we get back to the harbor, it's gonna be a bit of a limping session. 3 laps for this one, so repairs are going to be very useful. I mean, I would even go for repairs if it was only 1 lap remaining. Even if it wouldn't make much sense, which I think it does make sense to repair even for 1 lap, considering that I have to be this slow around the track. I really just don't like driving like this. I want to have a proper race, or at least be able to do a fast lap around there. But yeah, I'm in 4th position. I'm losing ground to everybody else, and not really too much I can do about this right now. Apart from limping back to the repair stations and getting all the stuff fixed. But yeah, coming back around the last 2 turns, I actually use this section in a few tracks because I just love it. Also something going on with KitKat over there. But yeah, let's now go into the repair station, get everything fixed, accidentally going into the paint section, which I don't really have much use for right now. Just in front of me also needing repairs. And while I'm not really in the competition for podium anymore, at least I should be able to make this a decent race now. And I don't know what happened there. Weird little bounce, but at least I landed back on the wheels. Yeah, time to pull myself together and get back on track, get back on pace. And don't do shit like this. But yeah, you can see a good amount of retuning that will be done to this car in the future. I'll have to see if I can make that work before the next event, but given that I don't have that much time remaining, maybe not. I might record the next commentary and then head off to the next race, and everything else will have to wait until after, but we'll see about it. And yeah, I got Jess right behind me. Apparently had some issues with those corners there. It's It's kind of a tough combination if you don't get it right. There is a good line through there, but if you go off it, you are in for a lot of pain or having to slow down significantly. But yeah, being able to take this a bit more cleanly, you of course have to be careful. It's much better to maybe break a bit too much than go over the flower banks, because those are going to just launch you somewhere. But yeah, we can see on the map that the next two people up front are neck and neck, but way ahead of me. So yeah, this really hasn't been my race due to the incident in the first lap. We are all in the last lap now. I'm about to come back to the start-finish straight, and yeah, we're going to see how the last one goes. But I think at this point it will most likely just be a hot lap for me. I shouldn't be running into too many problems, like hopefully not getting any damage unless I crash really hard, and I hope I can avoid that. But I don't think I'll be able to catch back up with anybody else, and I also don't think anybody behind me will be able to catch up with me again. Because most people are just coming around to the start-finish line, and I'm already way into the last lap, on my own here. So should be a pretty safe position. But yeah, for this track there's also going to be a shorter version in another event. This one has been a lot of fun, and I intend to be using this stuff a few times here and there. There, here we go, coming back up to the highway section. Yeah, maybe I should be trying to avoid cutting the corners all that much. I know that I left a lot of open area on the inside. I don't want people to be cut off by just missing the checkpoint if they go a tiny bit too far on the inside. But I've been considering maybe being a bit more limiting on those kind of corners, because I don't want constant corner cuts either. It's just, I don't know. Up until somewhat recently, with some of the more recent handling changes, a lot of the time it felt like you didn't have full control over your car. Sometimes you're just gonna try and fight it, make it through the checkpoint somehow. So I felt like it was always a good idea to give a bit more leniency to the people, not have them miss out on the checkpoint if they accidentally cut in a tiny bit too far. And given all the potholes that have been added to the roads, I think some of it still rings true, because they can really catch you off guard and make you go in a weird direction that you weren't really prepared for. And I don't want people to be messed up by that and then also miss a checkpoint, because that's just gonna be a huge setback on their pace. But I also don't really want people to shortcut all the time, so I'll have to see how I balance both of these out. But yeah, this has been the Stella Cup 2. Once again, check out the Workers League server for more events. We would love to get more people involved for these, but this is gonna be it from me for this episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time. Until then, have a good one, and bye bye.